Hello there. Welcome to Studio Takes. I'm Dane Scott, along with Pocket Frog.
Ribbit?
Ribbit to you. Good to have you in the studio today. It's going to be a fun one. First of all, kind of a big milestone, the $350,000 sales mark on Fiverr. So that is kind of happy news for me. And considering I started 5 years ago, it's pretty good progress. I'm going to tell you about where we're at. Most importantly, I'm going to give you some real, honest-to-goodness, good advice on how you can advance your own stuff there on Fiverr and start making more money, get found better, do more sales, so forth. So that's all a part of today's session. And then also kind of exciting news about the Gig Doctor service I'll be telling you about. It's all coming up.
Studio Takes. Real help for the aspiring voiceover artist and Fiverr entrepreneur.
Okay, let's get down to it. A couple of things. First of all, I'm going to be sharing a PDF also with you, a link to a PDF that has 5 principles in it. And those principles can genuinely help you. 5 things that truly do make a difference. It's not just, okay, here's one more bullet point list of stuff. These 5 things are, none of them are either impossible or even particularly difficult to do, but if you ignore them, your chances go way down on Fiverr. And granted, they are categories, they're not complete descriptions because we can't put all of that into one little PDF freebie, but it definitely will give you kind of the stepping stones, the things that you need to be looking at doing. And if you're wondering about how those should, what those should look like, that's where you and I can be communicating and we can go down through it and really get you set up well. But let's just talk about it. Okay, $350,000. Of that, Fiverr got 20%. So the rest was, what I got. But that's still a nice amount of income. And I'm really happy to be able to, reach that threshold, that milestone. How did I get there? Okay, let's talk about the 5 things a little bit right now. So there we go. The 5 things you must do to succeed on Fiverr. And the introduction says that it is a sad fact that many extremely talented people who have great things to offer the world go underutilized on Fiverr simply because they misunderstand some basic things about how to make the platform work for them. And so here are the 5 things you must do to succeed on Fiverr. And I'll let you read through these on your own, but I'll just kind of summarize them here. Number 1, you need to get found. What do I mean by that? I mean that in Fiverr's search engine, if you're not showing up in the first page or 2 of search, it's a long shot that people are going to even notice you. And if you don't get noticed, it's going to be a long shot that you're going to be able to get orders. So you have to be found, and there's a lot that goes into that whole thing. But while you're still getting yourself found, it's a good idea to be doing the buyer requests, which is one way that you can get work without having to be found in search. And so initially that can help to kind of start to get the wheels rolling a little bit, is to do the buyer requests. But don't do that in lieu of doing the things that really need to happen in your gig setup that will get you found. And that, as I said, that's a whole that's a whole recipe, and it involves a little secret sauce. So if you want to talk about that, we could do a Gig Doctor. But getting found is a huge deal. The second thing is you need to get noticed. So just like, the billboards on the highway, buyers can easily breeze right past your gig when they're doing their searches. Just remember that the way Fiverr's search engine works, it brings up 50 gigs at a time in search. So if you do a search for such and such voiceover, male voiceover, or American female voiceover, or whatever it is, the first page will show 50 hits. And each of those hits shows a thumbnail. It's like a little gig image. And then along with it, there is a title there. And then there's price information. And they can also see how many reviews you've gotten. And so there's some good basic information. And then next to each little one, there's a play button too. But, if you want them to notice you and to hit your little play button and listen to your demo or watch your video or whatever it is that you're offering, you got to make sure that they don't just fly right past you. Just think of how many billboards you drive by on the highway that you never even look at, that you never notice. And then occasionally when it's like, boing, it really catches your eye. The reason is because it's a well-designed billboard. It does what it's supposed to do. It grabs your attention and it says very little. Because just like the billboards on the highway, people are flying by at a pretty good speed sometimes. So what you have to say has to be very brief, to the point, and big enough to be noticed, big enough to see. So lots of little text, bad idea in a gig image because it all kind of flies by too quickly. So you need to get noticed, and again, there is a method to that madness, and we can talk about that if you'd like at some point. Then the next thing is, what are you offering? You need to amaze them with your demo. Your demo needs to represent you in the very best light, not artificially, not like better than you can normally do. That's a bad mistake, because then you disappoint people. They say, hey, this isn't as good as what was in the demo. So you want to be sure that you don't misrepresent or over-represent yourself. But, the best that you can reasonably do in real life when you get an order. That's what needs to be in your demo. And if what you're currently not capable, or if what you're currently capable of doing isn't as good as it ought to be, then that's something you need to address. You need to, up your skills, develop your abilities, and make sure that what you're offering is at least competitive with some of the people that are showing up on the first page of search. Otherwise, even if you do manage to get up there on search, you're not going to be competitive with them. So what do you have to offer? That is something that you need to be thinking about. How good are you realistically? If you're not sure and you're doing voiceovers, you could go over to my group, Rate My Voiceover, on Fiverr or Facebook, and post your demo up there and just ask for some feedback. A lot of nice people, and they don't chew people up, and it's not a meat grinder. They're very nice on there about helping and giving suggestions. But just make sure that your product is great. And then the other thing is, you have to realistically price yourself based on what the going rates are on Fiverr for someone who is your level of ability and the amount of time that you've been spending on the platform, which may or may not be a long time yet. If you don't have a lot of reputation and you come flying in with a really high price on stuff, relative to what other people are charging, even if you get found, you're not going to get ordered from, and if you don't get ordered from, you're not going to get found. So it's kind of a chicken and an egg thing. You need to. You don't want people passing you by, in other words. If Fiverr manages to show you in the search and you don't convert that into clicks and ultimately into sales, you're going to start to taper off in Fiverr's search results, because they're going to go, well, whatever they're offering right now, people don't seem to be interested in. And what they're going to be interested in is going to be great product at a great price. So you have to kind of balance that stuff out, figure it out. Where do your prices need to be in order to be competitive based on what your current abilities are? Number 4 is kid glove treatment. You've got to treat people really, really well on Fiverr. And I know everybody says that, but there really are reasons why that has to be the case. Number 1, the more you make people happy, the more they're likely to leave you great reviews, leave you high ratings, like 5-star ratings, and come back. And all of those three things are a big deal, but there's a 4th thing that almost nobody realizes enters into this. And I'm going to tell you about it today. That is the closed circuit reviews that are requested of the buyer by Fiverr. After a sale has been completed, putting aside whatever they might have said in a review publicly or not said in a review publicly of you, Fiverr sends out a little survey to the buyer and says, basically, how did they really do? Okay? And what they answer in that, there's some star ratings up for that too. And then I think they also will accept comments. What gets said in those private reviews counts. It definitely counts towards whether you're going to show up in the search ratings or not. If your search rankings, I should say. So if you're getting, mediocre or no reviews, or, good reviews, but, they're just basically lip service. But on the flip side, some of these people are going to Fiverr afterwards and going, they were okay, or, I wasn't totally happy with this thing. I gave them a 5-star, but I didn't really like how they handled me with it or whatever. That's the reason. That's one more of the reasons why the kid glove treatment is really important. Keep in mind that whether or not you have a big goal of getting them to leave you 5 stars and a review, the other part of it is that you do not want to put yourself in a situation where they leave a negative private review to Fiverr, because that can knock you out of the searches. Some people will say, I seem to be doing everything right, but I'm just not showing up in search. There's one of the factors that people either don't realize or don't think about. And number 5, you have to deliver an amazing product. Everything so far has been about, getting people to your gig, getting them to order, getting them to, be happy with what you've done. But part of that happiness comes from just really doing a knockout job on the job itself. And just because it is Fiverr doesn't mean that the people who are on there have lower expectations as to quality. Sometimes it's surprising, and you'll talk to people, especially those that are starting out at $5, and it seems like some of the people that order in that range are almost more picky than people that are paying 10 times or 20 times as much for an order. So it's important that we treat each job, whether it's for one of those small orders when you're first starting out, or whether it's for a big corporation when you're farther down the road, with the same attention to detail, the same quality, the same genuine care for the buyers. You don't have to be kind and be courteous and be thoughtful and have a servant's heart just because there are positive impacts on your business that way. You can do it because it's a satisfaction to you. And by doing that, there's just actually one more benefit, and that is that you feel better about the whole thing. So regardless of who it is, do a network quality job on every order you get. You'll feel great about it. They'll feel great about it, and you'll benefit in all the ways we've talked about. So there are some thoughts for you today. Just reviewing, we've got the Gig Doc discount going on. So if you go over to the link that I shared in the comments, you can order the Gig Doctor for a few bucks off and get a $50 head slapper. And you will also be helping me. This is during the month of July 2021. The reason I say that is even though I'm taking a hit on the price and I'm giving away something significant, I want to develop some momentum in my Fiverr version of the gig so that it starts to go up through the rankings and become more popular on there. So you see that there is method to my madness, but you can actually learn a little something from that right there. As my Fiverr Gig Doctor gig starts to get more traffic, starts to get more orders, more reviews, and already I'm starting to get some great rankings and reviews through this new offer that I'm doing on Fiverr. As that happens, I'm going to bubble up in the search results. I'm going to start showing up better and better. You keep moving up, and so it helps me. So I'm not asking you to order because it helps me, but I'm just explaining why I'm giving you a special break, because it does help me. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to watch for this. I'm planning on doing a complete course on the, how I made my first $350,000 on Fiverr, which I'll be offering probably on the Gig Doctor site. So it'll be a new course, and it will give you much more details on some of the things we've talked about today. Until next time, along with Pocket Frog, I'm Dane Scott. Thanks.
You give me a call.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.